We're going to get our meeting started for January 12th, our 9 o'clock meeting that we had to move to 1 o'clock. Appreciate your patience on that, so we're going to call our meeting to order. We're going to ask the invocation to be done by Commissioner Pickens and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Rawls. All rise.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day and all the wonders in it, Father God. We just thank you for the opportunity to gather here. Father God, we appreciate the presentations that are going to be made today and presentations by individuals and by our staff, Father Commissioners, Father God, with the wisdom that you give us, Father God, to make the correct decisions for all the citizens of Putnam County. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens and Commissioner Rawls. Do want to say that sorry about the inconvenience of this morning. Our internet was down, and on the sake of caution and transparency, we wanted to give our residents as much opportunity to call in, Zoom in as they could. But again, we didn't have any internet here, so we have it now. We're up and running, and we look forward to doing this hybrid meeting. Commissioners, the first item of business is the approval of minutes that are listed in your agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes as listed on the agenda.
A proper motion by Commissioner
I'll second
Turner.
it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Okay, any other further discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're going to recess our Board of County Commission meeting, go into our Port Authority meeting. Commissioners, the first item of business is the approval of minutes of November 10th.
Mr. Chairman, I approve the minutes of November 10th, 2020 Port Authority regular meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. We got a proper motion from Commissioner Pickens, proper second from Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Public comment on Port Authority items. Is there any public comment on Port Authority items? Jacob, do you see any in our Zoom chat? Okay. All right. Then we'll close the portion of public comment on Port Authority items and go to general discussion. Commissioners, or is there any general discussion on Port Authority items? Hearing none, we're going to close our Port Authority and go back to our Board of County Commission meeting. We've got one presentation. Item A has been removed off the table. We'll do that in another board meeting. Item B, Dr. Nancy Russo with SMA Behavioral Health Services. Dr. Russo, you got the floor.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to give both 2020 highlights from the Crisis Triage and Treatment Unit and the Criminal Justice Grant that we partner with the county on, and also an overall 3-year overview. So for 2020, for 12 out of the 12 months, we met all but one of our performance measures for the year. Twice we did not meet the 85% of program participants referred to the CTTU under a Baker Act will not again be referred under the Baker Act 1 year following program discharge. And the main barrier to this for not meeting the measure would include that the clients didn't always engage in following up in their case management services as the program was originally designed to do. And then, of course, the struggles with COVID this year. We transported 169 residents of Putnam County, 138 to partnering crisis stabilization units in Alachua, St. John's, and Volusia, and 31 to the addictions receiving facility in Volusia County. Of the 169, we transported 77 residents back into the community upon discharge from their crisis stabilization stay, and 29 of these individuals accepted case management services from us. 19 Baker Acts were diverted by providing the needed services at the point of crisis, and we were able to train 21 law enforcement officers in CIT for the 2020 calendar year. Any questions about the 2020 highlights?
Any questions, Commissioner?
No.
No, thank you.
Now, overall, for law enforcement, the sheet that you may have received, I'm not must have missed a quarter because the numbers weren't right, so what I give you now will be the correct numbers. For the CTTU transports, we saved a total of 1,224 law enforcement personnel hours, which is equivalent to $40,630. And then due to courtesy transport ceasing transports for Baker Act and Marchman Act in April of 2019, the burden of the transports for juveniles and after hours were put on the Sheriff's Department. So since April of 2019, the Putnam County Sheriff's Office has driven 9,914 miles to transport 138 residents. 73 of them were adults and 65 were juveniles. And this kept them off of patrol for a total of 204.75 hours, which is estimated at a cost of $6,797 to the Sheriff's Department.
All right, Dr. Russo, you can continue on. It looks like we got the situation worked out.
Okay, I don't know if there's anything you need me to repeat, but I was on my last statement saying I believe the final summary that I need to bring before the Board of County Commissioners will demonstrate all the benefits the Crisis Triage and Treatment Unit has been to the county over the past 3 years, and the benefit we can continue to be to the county over the next 3.
Well, we thank you for your presentation. Commissioners, any comments to Dr. Russo?
I have none.
All right, good. All right, thank you very much. And we'll move into public comment on agenda items. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. These comments are only going to be on agenda items. So we're going to open the floor up for public comment on agenda items. Do we have any public comments on agenda items? Jacob, do you see anything in your, no? Okay, we have no public comments on agenda items, so we're going to close that section of our meeting and go to consent agenda. Commissioners, is there any items you'd like to pull, starting to my left? Commissioner Rawls.
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens.
I have none.
Commissioner Adamsack. Commissioner Turner. And I have none. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass the consent agenda items A through H.
Thank you. We have a proper motion by Commissioner Turner, proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. Going on to item 7, codes enforcement. Will, Mr. Siafi, are you on the line, or Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, let's start with codes case 2008-00535.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Moore, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, sir. The address is 1210 County Road 28. Property owner's name is heirs of Linda Hall, care of Antonio Hall. The violation was care of premises, and the original fine amount was $111,325. The total cost of enforcement was $2,305. The property was recently acquired by the property owner due to a death in the family. The property is now compliant, and the property owner is requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Any questions from the commissioners?
Like, following what we've been doing for everybody else in the past and just staying consistent, if we reduce it by the administrative monthly cost, it would give them a net $815 due. So I'd make a motion that we reduce it by the monthly total to $815 payable in 90 days.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Rawls for $815 on codes case 2008-00535 if paid within 90 days. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Is she listening?
Yes, sir. You ready?
Mr. Moore, hang on just a second. We're going to be going to the next case, item B, codes case 2010-00096. She's not on?
The address is 920 South County Road 21. Property owner's name is Cheryl Jackson. The original violation was running a kennel. The original fine amount was $91,410, and the total cost of enforcement action was $2,399. Property owner has brought the property in compliance and is requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days. I talked to her this morning, and I don't think she's going to be able to get on here. She wanted to talk to y'all, but she wanted me to pass on that she would like a little bit longer to pay it, if possible, 6 months.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. So Ms. Jackson's not on the call with us today?
There's Mr.
Mr. Kaiser, are you speaking for Ms. Jackson?
Yes, I'm here to represent Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Would you please speak up and state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Timothy Kaiser. My address is 501 Atlantic Avenue, Interlochen, Florida, 32148. And concerning the code enforcement lead, the reduction that is recommended by the planning department is more than she can afford. She asked that the county commission further reduce the
Can we turn
amount
that
of
up?
the lien because she has a limited
hard
ability
time
to
hearing
pay
it,
the lien, and also because the original cause of the lien was her providing a public and community service by providing shelter for dogs that were unwanted and abandoned. In fact, many of the dogs that she had that were in excess of existing laws were delivered by the county animal control unit. So for those reasons, she feels a further lien reduction from the $3,000 to a lesser amount would be warranted.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. We're having a hard time with our audio, but so let me paraphrase what you said. Basically, she felt like she was doing a good thing by taking in unwanted animals, and that's what caused the codes infractions against her property. Is that how I'm understanding that?
Yes, in addition, some of the unwanted animals were brought by the county's animal control unit.
Were brought to her by animal control?
Yes.
Interesting. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, any questions for Mr. Kaiser? Go ahead.
That's a twist.
That's a twist.
I mean, we may want to take a look at tabling this and talking to animal control and see if there's any truth to that, because that might be ours to bear. Be no reason to fine her if she was helping the county out by housing
Commissioner?
animals.
Yes, Mr. Moore?
I spoke to animal control, and they said that did not happen. This went to the magistrate hearing, and it's went all the way up, and they keep saying that they did not do that.
All right, Mr. Moore, you're saying that that did not happen according to your conversations with animal control.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
I think Mr. Adamczak had his.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess, because the woman, Miss Jackson, can't afford it, our standard, it's on.
I can't hear you, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess the standard thing would be to remove the administrative monthly, that would knock it down to 1,079. Would she be able to do that in 90 days? I mean, that's a considerable reduction.
I think the 6 month. Mr. Turner?
Yeah, I think that without changing precedents that we've done in the past, when there's a financial hardship involved, that we've allowed them to take a longer period of time to pay this off. I propose we give them 8 months to pay it off and do the standard, the consistent thing that we've done in the past is waive the administrative fee off of it, which would bring it down to $1,079 unless I misdid my math, and give her 8 months to pay.
That's your motion,
Yes,
Commissioner
sir.
Turner? Thank you, Commissioner. We have a proper motion. We have a second.
I'll second that.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Rawls for a $1,079 payment and 8 months to make the payment. Any further discussion?
Under questions, is Mr. Kaiser still on?
Mr. Kaiser, are you still on the phone?
I'm still on.
Thank you.
Did you hear what we just talked, the motion was just made?
Yes, I think you extended the payment of the $3,000 to 8 months.
No. The total payment will be $1,079. It will be reduced to $1,079.
And give her 8 months to pay.
What was the amount?
$1,079.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
You good? Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Kaiser.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, next case is case number 2014-00781, Putnam County Lands. Thomas, are you on the line still?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and present your case.
The address is 110 Ann Street, property owner Putnam County Lands, LLC. The violation was abandoned and open and accessible mobile home. The original fine amount was $33,118.50. The total cost of enforcement action was $2,112. Property owner purchased the property. The property is now compliant, and the owner is requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Commissioner, is Putnam County, Mr. Blakewood, are you on the line? Is the applicant on the line? He was there earlier this morning, so, but he didn't make it back this afternoon. Okay, Commissioners, you have any questions for Mr. Moore? Okay, hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
I spoke to Mr. Blakewood yesterday. He wanted me to express to the board, he has a little bit of frustration because when he purchased the property, in the title search, it did not show up that there was any code cases. And after the title search was completed, then the code case was placed on the property. So he wanted me to share that. But I explained to him what we had done in the past for folks, and he seemed amenable to that. So I'd be willing to make a motion that we reduce the fine to $1,382 by removing the administrative monthly costs and give them 90 days to pay that.
Okay, we have a motion of
I'll second that.
$1,382 and 90 days to pay from Commissioner Rawls, a second from Commissioner Turner. And under just one other topic of discussion, I talked to Mr. Siafi this morning. It appears that this could have been cleaned up very simply if the title company would have contacted the county and asked for them to look at it, but that didn't happen. And I was talking to Mr. Siafi today, and maybe we could do some kind of public service announcement where we could get it out to the title companies to get this done, because it seems like we're getting one a month almost. And it's the same situation, and I feel bad for these people. They need to know, but I'm glad that you spoke to them. So is there any further comments, Mr. Adamsack?
I guess along that lines, and I don't know if Rich, you would have the answer for this, but I mean, if someone chooses not to purchase title insurance when they're doing a purchase, they're choosing to take that risk upon themselves instead of putting it to the title company. This individual seems like they did the search, the title company didn't find it. From what I understand, it was there somewhere. So really, in that case, to me, the responsibility would be in the title company, not ours.
Yes, I agree. Commissioner Turner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't believe a title insurance company will sell a title insurance policy on a tax deed, which is where I think he got this from, until that property has been quiet titled. But, Mr. Blakewood is an attorney, I believe, and so, I understand the situation that you sometimes don't cover all bases, and when you try, you miss one, but, we're remaining consistent by this motion. He should be plenty pleased to get out of this for $730 for $1,382. So, I think it's just a win-win, and we can remain consistent with what we've been doing in the past.
The other part of his frustration was that it really has nothing to do with this. There was a mobile home on the property that was valued at $40,000, and that's what they based their offering price on. And then now it's $2,500. So he was a little bit frustrated that the property value.
I will tell you,
but
with that location, if he power washes that and the interior is fine, that mobile home is worth at least $40,000. It's in a high.
Yeah.
It's in a high sought after area right now. I went out there and drove out there. I mean, it's not, the mobile home is not that bad. That wasn't what needed to be remediated. So I think he got a break personally, in my opinion, from the assessor's office.
All right, end of discussion. We're going to take a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next on our agenda, the Clerk of the Court, Mr. Matt Reynolds. Matt, are you with us?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chairman. Quite a first meeting for me as officially being Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller. So thank you guys for hanging in there and still managing to have the meeting today. I just have a couple things that I'd like to say real quick. Just want to say that I am very thankful and honored to be able to serve alongside all of you. And just a quick statement. I said it during my swearing-in speech, but something that I really want to take to heart down here at the clerk's office and potentially even adopt it as our mission statement, and that is we are public servants. Our every action should be dedicated to protecting and preserving the public trust, and that's just something that I want to let the board know that that is what I plan on doing in my time in office. Something else that occurred over the weekend on a little bit sadder note. I think most of you knew Mr. Wells, Mr. Don Wells. He was the lead security guard that was employed by Wiser Security, which is the company that the Board of County Commissioners has a contract with to provide security at the Board of County Commission meeting as well as down here at the courthouse. Mr. Wells passed away over the weekend. It was relatively quick. He worked up until just a couple months ago and started not feeling well. So just keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. The viewing will be Monday night at Johnson Overturf from 5 to 7. And there will be a service Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. at Oak Hill East, graveside service. And then the last thing that I want to mention, I want to bring up to the board, I spoke with Mr. Jeremy Needfelt, who works with a company called PFM, which is Public Financial Management, and he is somebody that I have talked with multiple times, dating all the way back to when I was at the City of Flagg as Finance Director. His specialty is debt service, debt refinancing, and I had him take a look at the debt that the county has, and with what's been happening with interest rates, he's noticed two of the loans, the 2008 Series A and B bonds that were done. I believe it was on the wastewater plant. I would have to go back and take a look at it, but he is looking into it some further, and I plan on bringing that back to you guys at a workshop in the near future about discussing potentially refunding those. His preliminary analysis showed that it might save the utility fund about $60,000 a year, or a net present value of about $1.3 million for the remainder of the term of those bonds. So as I get more information, I will definitely bring that back to the board, and I figured that would be something that the board as a whole would be interested in, and something that I could work with county staff on getting that completed if it's feasible. So that is all I have for today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. That's good news, and we look forward to hearing that. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Reynolds?
No.
All right. We're going to end that part. Go to our next item is appointments, starting with Commissioner Rawls. Do you have any appointments to make?
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens? Commissioner Adams?
I'd like to nominate for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, David Parsons.
Who?
David Parsons.
David Parsons?
He submitted his application. I believe it was approved
For at large?
through Sarah.
For at large?
Yeah, for that large, it's the only one that's left, I believe.
Okay.
I forgot about that one.
All right. Commissioners, that's an at-large, so we will need a motion and a vote on that.
So I'd like to make a motion to nominate David Parsons to the at-large appointment for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee.
We have a proper motion, proper second by Commissioner Pickens.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe for a nomination, you don't need a second. I
Okay.
think you just have a nomination and then call for the vote if there's no second nomination.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Any further appointments, Mr. Adams?
I am awaiting, Sarah's gonna give me some information on the removal of one of my committee members. I don't have all of it that I need to make that decision, but basically one of the things has someone that hasn't been there in 2 years, so probably next meeting I'll be looking to remove that person and seeking someone else. I would like to thank Mr. Pickens for at the last AHAC meeting bringing up having an orderly set timeframes for those, because that has allowed me to present that to some people that were interested in being on it. Unfortunately, the timeframe we chose doesn't work for them, but it does give me some constraints to seek someone out for that. So I hope to have that one filled soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Turner, did I call on you?
Not yet, sir. Thank you. I'd have a couple of questions. First, on the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, do we need to appoint Commissioner Rawls to that, or has he already been appointed to that?
I was thinking you need to point
Well,
Commissioner Adams back.
Yes, he does need to be appointed.
Say it again?
He does need to be appointed.
Okay.
Somebody does, right?
Okay, well, are you on it now, Commissioner Rawls?
Yeah, I took over from Commissioner Goddard.
Okay.
So you're hoping somebody else?
It doesn't matter to
Well,
me.
that's my question. Do you want to be reappointed to that, or does someone else need to try and do it? And you're not on any committees yet, are you, Commissioner?
That's a good one for you.
Would you be interested in taking that spot?
Sure.
Okay, I nominate Commissioner Adamsack for that position then.
All right, since we don't need a second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
That's a quarterly meeting, by the way, Paul.
thank you.
I didn't hear you.
It's a quarterly meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
My other one is I need to ask Sarah, you put a yellow mark on Mary Ratliff's name, Mary Ratliff, which is actually Mary Ratliff
I know. I just-
Sheridan. She's married to the Sheridan. So did you mark that yellow because she contacted you finally, Sarah?
Yes, she is agreeable to being reappointed.
Okay, in that case, I want to nominate Mary Ratliff Sheridan for an at-large position on the ZBOA.
All right, we don't need a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it.
And that's all I have today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I have none. Next item on the agenda, County Administrator, Mr. Terry Suggs.
Good morning, or actually, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. No comments this afternoon. It's been a trying day, but I do want to appreciate and make sure I thank the IT staff for working as hard as they did to at least get us to the point that we are today. So, but that will conclude my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Suggs. Mr. Commando.
Mr. Chair, thank you. No report. Just thank you so much for making sure that the citizens of Putnam County had the ability to participate today. I mean, I know it's been trying for everyone here, but that's really why we're all here. So I appreciate the extraordinary effort y'all have gone through today. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, Mr. Commando, I'm glad you said that because it's very important that we keep our citizens safe from this pandemic, and we're in the vaccine process now, and we sure don't want to make people sick, and hopefully this won't last, but maybe this would be the end of it, and we can get back to regular meetings very, very soon. Commissioner comments? I'm going to start with Mr. Adamsack.
I guess I just have a question, something I'd like to add to the next workshop or meeting, however we think we want to do it. But it goes back to the 9 Mile area, I guess, from the conversation we had about which things have open plans. Staff got me a lot of information around that. 9 Mile's one of them. And then I went back and looked at the old meeting where we decided we're gonna go back to the state. That doesn't sound like we've made much traction there based on not getting responses from the state. I drove out there, I didn't really realize where that was till I got the map and stuff, and I would like to revisit, regardless of whether we're giving this back to the state, we're keeping it, we're doing anything else, is removing that building. Because to be honest with you, we have a big county sign right in front of this really ugly building on one of our main corridors that has no purpose on existing at this point. I mean, we were writing code cases for buildings in similar conditions, and we have one sitting there right on the side of the road. So I'd like us to reconsider, and I don't know if we'd have to put it back out for bid, but just the demolition of that building, because I think the bid that I saw that someone supplied me was like $3,900 or something. And I think that actually is a pretty competitive bid.
If not mistaken, we were giving that to Water Management. Water Management had us take some building, the Quonset hut off in the inside of there. Mr. Suggs, are you familiar with that house right there as you come up across from the fire department in Hollister, the one that has the sign that Mr. Adamsack is talking about?
Yes, sir, I'm very familiar with it. And it was when we were talking about going back to the, reverting the land back to Florida Communities Trust, they wanted us to remove that structure from the property before they would agree to take the property back. We got a quote. It came in around, I think Commissioner said $3,900 or something like that. And at the time, the Commissioner wasn't willing to move forward with that. But Commissioner Adamsack brings up a good point. And
Right.
whether it's our property now or not, we're doing those things with other properties. We probably ought to take a look at it again and make a decision if we want to move forward with it or not.
Why don't we schedule that on a future workshop, because I would like to know if that's the only thing holding us up from water management taking that property over. I think we should move pretty quick on that. And if we can get Parks and Rec, if I may say, let's remove that sign as soon as possible.
I don't think we are allowed to, actually.
Oh, we're not allowed
From
to?
what you read in the plan, the sign has to be there stating that we got from Florida. So I read it, I tried to read it, I think, can we just knock the sign down? And unfortunately, maybe you could verify that, but if you read the plan, it actually says a sign needs to be erected and needs to say that the land came from the truck.
Gotcha.
It's kind of convoluted.
Commissioner Turner? I'm sorry, Mr. Adams,
That's
are we done?
Oh, no, I did want to say, I did explore one other alternative if we wanted to potentially use this as an opportunity, and Mr. Suggs, myself, and Jared haven't had the time basically because of the vaccine situation, but to see if that could be a potential opportunity to do a controlled training burn for our fire department and serve. That would actually cost more money, but it would serve the purpose of training as well for the fire department to see if that's a possibility. We don't know if it is until we go inside, until JR goes inside the building. It may be a wasted trip for an hour for us to go out and look, but I just thought that might be an alternative as well.
Like it. Mr. Turner?
Yeah, just a quick comment, Mr. Chairman. I wouldn't mind an update on where we are on this anyhow, but there were a lot more pieces of this puzzle than one building. And they're trying to make it work, and then we couldn't work with them. They wouldn't amend our management plan. They wouldn't let us use the timber harvesting on the property to help manage the property, like hire somebody to manage the property. And so there were a lot of moving parts to this, and I think that the 3,900 or whatever the amount was probably the last poke in the eye with a sharp stick is what it was more than anything else to us. And so, that's, I think, why it was refused by the board at that time, because it was just, like I said, poured salt on the wound. And so, I wouldn't mind an update on where we are at a workshop, Mr. Suggs, if you could arrange that. I think that would be good, and bringing Mr. Adams back up to speed, it may change his position on where we are on it at this time if he had the full story. So maybe we could get an update on it, and I don't think we've talked about it in a year or so. It might be a good idea to talk about it again. Do they want it back, or do they not want it back? If they do want it back, then they need to go ahead and do whatever they're gonna do, so.
And I guess so. I'm pulling this as a separate thing, because irregardless of who owns that property, I think that building should be gone.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is to pull it separate from all that, because I watched those meetings from the past. I went back and made sure I reviewed them. I get it, there's a lot more to it than that, but the building needs to go, in my opinion.
I understand, and that's why I requested that this go to workshop, because we'd like to get all the information for you, other than that, because I don't know that I wanna spend $3,900 of the taxpayers' money to tear a building down for a piece of property that the state's taking back from us. They need to go ahead and own up and do their own business if they're gonna take the property back. So, I don't know. Like I said, it's a discussion, and I could really go either way on it if you were very passionate about it, but, I think it needs to go to workshop, Mr. Chairman.
Open a code case against the state.
Mr. Rawls?
Open a code case on it.
It's actually
maybe-
ours.
That would be against us.
Or maybe somebody would just take it. Maybe somebody wants it and moves it, and we'd be fine with that. I know,
No, I'm saying, open a code case, give it to the state, they get the code case fines, they can pay us. It's win-win.
win-win. Okay. Okay, Commissioner comments from Mr. Turner.
I'd like to join the clerk of court in giving condolences to Don Wells's family. I literally have known him since I was less than 10 years old. So have a lot of family history. Went to the same church growing up as they did. My sister was very close friends to his wife and still is. So anyhow, I'd like to wish condolences to Don's family. And that's really all I have today, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Mr. Rawls?
I've received numerous complaints over the past several weeks regarding the ball fields being locked up. I got a text this afternoon as I was coming in, wanting to know when they're going to be open. We got our ball fields shut down, and I guess,
All ball fields or just Francis?
well, this particular one, I believe, is Francis. They took their kids up there to practice, and the ball fields are locked up, and they're,
If I may, Mr.
I think
Chairman?
Mr. Pickens,
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
I reached out, I had, I think we all got the same email about them being locked up, and I understood they were locked up, but talking to Kevin, that there was just an area that was locked up and you had to go around. I think it was just a little more inconvenient to get to the fields, but, Kevin said he had addressed that from what I understood.
that's what I understood.
Yeah, and the head of Babe Ruth had a key too, so the guy who sent the email, the guy that he works with at Babe Ruth Association has a key. He come and go as he pleases. So all that guy had to do was just reach out to the head of the Babe Ruth, and he could have got in at any time he wanted to go in. So,
you know, like I said, I got a text as I was walking in today, from another individual saying this, why is Francis locked up? So,
Mr. Suggs, can you reach out to Mr. Stevens and find out if there's,
Yeah, and I'll also reach out to him, because I thought it was
And
just an inconvenience of whatever they had locked up, he needed to have locked up, it was just inconvenient, so, but he said he got everything taken care of.
and then Melrose Park.
From that, hold on, Jeff.
I'm sorry.
So I did meet with Kevin the other day. The intention is to keep that gate locked all the time. And it's the one that leaks, except for when there's like a big event or a ball game going on or something. And they do have access through those sidewalks. It just is a walk to get to the other end where people park on the backside where the trailhead, not trailhead, but where the trail comes in from 100. It's to get all the way back there. So that guy wanted to practice back there where the batting cages were, so he'd have to haul all of his equipment with his kids through the park. I don't know if I agree or disagree with that being locked, but I absolutely concur with what Mr. Turner said. He could have called the head of the Babe Ruth and arranged to get it. So
get a key?
I agree fully, but that the plan is, from what Kevin told me, that particular gate stays locked.
Okay, so
They can
it's
access
just
the
the
field.
right gate, it's not the ball field.
Correct, it's the right
fences
gate.
themselves, okay.
And I actually went there that day because we were going on a park tour that day. And in fact, you could get to the fields, the kids could go to the fields, but you did have to walk back to the field.
Okay,
It's some more effort than driving around to the field.
all right, I'll let him know. Melrose Park, I attended a function out there, I think it was last weekend. There's a group that's wanting to do a car show and has made a request, and the request was denied because we can't park cars on grass, there might be sprinkler heads, they've had a litany of reasons, but, when I was out there for the event, it looked like a really good space for them to be able to host a car show if they wanted to do that. And I think right now, especially in light of what we've gone through over the past 10 months with COVID, and we're still going through right now, outdoor events like that probably need to be encouraged and not discouraged, especially for folks that are trying to raise money for their communities. And, all of us, I believe, are members or have been members of civic organizations, and they're all struggling right now to do anything. I attended the meeting last night for the Boston Community Association, and they're canceling the Blueberry Festival, which is their second year in a row, and that money goes to scholarships and 4-H and their library and all that. So, I think we really need to take a hard look at being able to be like, I think it was the city of Gainesville that opened up the Department of Doing. They were looking for ways to break down barriers where people would, the government would say no, and all of a sudden they developed this department that would look for creative ways to be able to say, okay, we can make this work, and here's how we can make it work. So I think we should take a look at that possibly. I know that in one of the ways we need to, get more funding to our Parks and Recreation staff so they can manage facilities like that or parks like that. But at some point, I think we need to have a conversation about utilization of places like that for outdoor events.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would like to recommend that we ask this issue as well as other issues on closure procedures and how they're turned down and what criteria they're turned around, not just for this particular situation, but for other situations. What criteria, who makes that decision of why? Because it seems to me, I've only been to Melrose, I've ridden by there hundreds of times, but I've only been to the park 3 or 4, but I'm with Commissioner Rawls. Seems to me like that would be a perfect venue for a small car show or something along those lines. I know they've had barbecue things in there and different different things. So anyhow, I think that maybe it should go back to Commissioner Pickens' Parks and Rec committee that he chairs, and just ask, you know, maybe look at the procedures and see what's going on, and to make sure that we're not prematurely cutting people out of what maybe would be good for Putnam County, perhaps.
I agree. Mr. Adamczyk?
So I was contacted by the same gentleman, and I go out to Melrose at least 3 times a week. So I was out there, I decided to go walk around, and I understand why Kevin said no. My understanding from talking to Kevin that he actually suggested that a car show would be a good idea if we use the parking around the outside.
Right.
The problem is, and that there is definitely sprinkler heads and stuff there, so if you're not there supervising it, I could see where if someone drove over one, they'd break something, it would cost the county money. So I understand his premise. The issue with doing it on the outskirts of the property is there's no parking to park people that want to come walk around to look at the cars per se, because Melrose really does have limited parking there. I mean, I guess you could park them on the side of the road all the way up to into Alachua County, but so it's kind of a catch-22 at that location, but maybe is like kind of along the lines of what Jeff's saying. If we say no, maybe suggest an alternate location, like Mary Wisham Park would be a great alternate location, because we have that big field on the backside of the amphitheater or something. You could put 1,000 cars in there and park 500 other cars, and the only use of that, as far as I know, is a few people that drive golf balls, right? So it's the rest of the time when they're not driving golf balls, is do a car show out there. Now, whether, and I understand the purpose of it being in downtown Melrose, because that would help the economy of Melrose. So I'd love to see it in Melrose. I just don't know where there's a location, because I asked the same question of the MISA fields, same issue. We got sprinkler heads and everything all throughout that property as well.
Yeah, I agree. And Melrose Park is kind of an unusual situation where Historic Melrose and the county have an agreement on, and Historic Melrose handles the park for the county, if you will. So, but that's just a minor detail. We can get that worked out. Commissioner Pickens, do you have your light on?
I got one more thing. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Commissioner Adams, I can answer my question. Who made that decision? So it must have been Kevin. So I'll have that brought to, we have our Rec Advisory Board meeting Monday, February 1st, I think. So I'll have him, we'll discuss that then. So, because I know it didn't come before the advisory board, so.
It never hurts to have a review of procedures.
Exactly. And also now in the COVID era is, if we're going to allow that to happen, then who's going to police and provide the COVID, guidelines that they're going to follow when they have the car show, right? Because it will be them having it. It won't be Parks and Recs having it. We'll be allowing them to pay and get a certificate to do it. So then somebody's going to have to police them too, because we heard of some complaints about some things happening in Melrose from not the city of Melrose that usually has the parade, but was the other group that had the parade. And they're also having something else out there, and they're concerned about COVID protocols, so we'll have to look at that also. Who's going to provide that?
Commissioner Rawls, I think you were next.
Just a real quick update on the animal services. So I got a email from Mike Troxler last Thursday with the final 5-acre layout. It's actually quite a bit different than I anticipated, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. It's 400 feet deep, and the rest of it's going to be in width. And as you go down the construction road that was built in there, when you get to the end of it, basically the property starts there, goes back 400 feet, and everything's to the right towards Highway 17, along that fence line that's there now. So it'll be on the other side of the fence in that area. And have y'all seen that yet, or?
Sound like about where we were gonna put it.
Yeah, but I was thinking it'd just be right at the end of the road and just right there at 5 acres, but it's gonna be off to the right, and I think it's a better location, so. I shot that over to Dawn the other day and asked her to start doing a preliminary layout. Now we're gonna lay the building on it. We need to get staff or somebody to look at it and decide, if we're gonna push the building to the far right, to the far left, right in the middle. As far as functionality, that's, I think, something staff needs to look at for future expansion. And
When do you think you can bring that back to us?
next week, on Tuesday.
That can be one of your priorities?
Mhm.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yep.
I'd like to see
But
that.
it'll just be what we really need to do is,
I am ready to start
I'll
construction.
print it and then see if she can do a scaled cutout so we can move it around. Because, I know they want to do large animals out there on that 5 acres, right?
And they wanna have yeah, that's what I heard, they wanted to have a large animal area that
Right.
they could put like horses and goats
Right.
and whatever.
That's the only thing I need help on is actually putting the building and turning it to not interfere with something they have planned in the future.
But if I may,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I think that part of the reason for moving it closer to the road is where if the jail ever has to expand, they would need that area out in that to expand in that direction and not be
Okay.
in the way of animal, but we did wanna access it through that old construction road, but going to that'd be the
East.
way east, I guess, going to the east would probably be best, for possible future expansion of the jail.
Okay,
I think that might be why they did it, so, and I think the horse confinement, I think that's just a matter of having some pens, just some horse pens, so, it's not a barn or anything, I don't think at this point, so,
see, we've not discussed anything with large animals. I remember them saying they needed to have an area for, like, especially during hurricanes when people can't take care of their horses,
well, the whole
You know,
5
game
acres
over.
would probably be fenced, and they could just do some side pens or whatever to, do those type of animals, and then the main thing, I think, is just try to get the facility up whenever you're ready for that.
okay. We're making progress.
Mr. Adams,
I guess my thing is, and only because I guess I wasn't here when COVID started, is I wasn't aware we had COVID protocols set. So I guess if we can get a review of what those are, because I didn't know that we had, like, if someone rented the county park, that there was some protocol that,
I don't know that we have that.
right,
Yeah, I don't know that you'd call it protocol as much as that I don't know that we haven't had a conversation on COVID yet that we didn't recommend the CDC current guidelines.
sure.
And that's, I think, would be our protocol at this time, if you wanted to call it that, would be
Right.
the CDC guidelines.
good.
So as far as someone renting it to do a car show or something, I guess the thing would be just tell them and recommend they follow the guidelines, and we don't have any enforcement ability on that, so it would be the same as anyone else renting a community center or anything else, it's on them.
And we could also get a deposit to cover damages for sprinkler heads, stuff like that. There is a workaround.
Sure.
Where we
Right.
could say yes.
Commissioner Pickens?
I think on that, and I may have not worded it properly, I think we need to make whomever's gonna rent those facilities, and they may be doing it now, that to follow the CDC guidelines, because we're gonna get some comment back from individuals who see it not being, social distanced enough and those type things already have. I just was kind of, that we needed to address that, because we're gonna get some feedback on that, whether it's positive or negative.
I know he has signs up in all the parks I've been to where it says,
And I want to kind of end that Melrose conversation for just a second. Years ago, when Mr. Suggs first got here, we were able to put sidewalks around that place. We were able to put bathrooms at the generous donation of Dr. Rush, who bought those bathrooms and put them in. We put sidewalks up to the bathroom. So a lot of work's been done, and I think some of the concern is the cars running over there. But I think we can work all that out. I've done enough festivals to know that you get the cars there first, then you bring the people in, and you don't let the cars move until after the people are gone.
Right.
That's how you stop some of that. So we can get to that. And I appreciate Commissioner Rawls. I really appreciate the Animal Services Building and the work you're doing. And I would love to start construction soon on that, as quick as possible. Commissioner Pickens, did I call on you?
Now you have,
now.
yes, you
I am
have.
now.
I just want to go out with Commissioner Turner and everybody else, and Clerk of Court Reynolds with the passing of Don Wells. He was a neat gentleman. Just knew him from the time I've been a commissioner, but a special note was that my son Bobby, who's just left the state's attorney's office, had a relationship with Don for the last couple of years that he was there. And Don sure loved his Florida State Seminole football, and Bobby sure loves his Florida Gator football, and they would go back and forth. So truly will be missed. We did have a AHAC committee meeting last Wednesday. We did have a quorum, so we were able to have some discussion and get some presentations. Antonio Jenkins is working hard to try to bring us back up to where we should be. We did make that we would meet once a quarter. It'll be the second Tuesday of the first month of a given quarter. So we're going to meet at a regular scheduled meeting. So hopefully we'll be able to monitor this a little better than it has been done in the past. So I think it was a real positive meeting. So that's all I have.
Usually the second,
Thank you.
second Tuesday?
Excuse me, the second Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, the second Wednesday of the first month of a quarter.
Thank you. And I also want to say, Mr. Wells was very kind as far as working here, and I've always experienced wonderful things with him, and my condolences to him and his family. Last Friday, gentlemen, y'all participated in the vaccine distribution for Putnam County by providing pizzas for the workers. Pizza Hut gave us a really good price, and Mr. Suggs and I went out and picked up 15 pizzas, and they donated breadsticks, and we delivered them to the EOC building where the phone bank people were working at. We took some to the health department where they were working diligently on scheduling appointments, and then we took the rest over to the facility in East Palatka where they were actually giving the vaccines, and just told them how much we appreciated them as far as the board and the work that they did last week. And make no mistake, the board, we have some great county employees who worked very diligently with the health department to get that vaccine program up and running. It really wasn't supposed to be scheduled until today, or Monday, yesterday, but they worked diligently to get that out, and over 1,300 vaccines were delivered yesterday. Tomorrow, Marion County has loaned us 150 vaccines, and that'll be going, but we have quite a bit, as you well know, over 9,000 people signed up and registered to take that. Now, not everybody is taking the vaccine that are signed up. So some people are choosing that they signed up and they're waiting, and that's happening. So what you're finding out is some people don't make their appointments, but for the most part they are. But at least they've signed up, and we know what we need, and the state of Florida knows what we need, and we put that in front of them constantly. So thank you again for providing pizzas out of your pockets to thank the workers that have been working very hard. This coming Thursday, the Barton Bridge Informational Zoom meeting will be happening at 5 o'clock, and Barton Bridge is happening quicker. Mr. Adams Act, Mr. Rawls, those are in your district. So that'll be something that you need to be in tune with on that. But I can tell you it's the talk of Barton. They're looking forward to their red light that's going to happen out there. And they're excited about that. And they're excited about the bridge. And I tell you, I'm excited that the previous board was able to take money off of a basically road to nowhere and move that money to bridges that we really need. And I thank our partners with FDOT and this board for allowing us to do that, because it was badly needed. And I tell you, I don't know where we'd have found the money elsewhere. Want to give a congratulations to Commissioner Jeff Rawls. I understand you are now the Northeast Florida Economic Resilient Task Force member. I heard that last week at our Board of Directors meeting at the Regional Planning Council. So congratulations for doing that. That'll end my comments, and we're going to go into the public comment for miscellaneous items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberations on matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit your conversation to 3 minutes. Public comment, forget about those cards because you're not in the building today, but just raise your hand and we will recognize you to speak. Is there any members from the public that would like to speak at this time? We do have some. All right, if you'll patch them through. And if you will, state your name and address for the record.
This is Dana Jones with the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello,
Good
Ms.
afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, guests, and happy late New Year to everyone. I really just wanted to take a minute to let y'all know I had reached out this week to the North Florida Economic Development Partnership, who is coordinating the Rural Days efforts scheduled for March 10th and 11th. And they tell me that this week they are going to vote, and in all probability, they're going to probably cancel the event. I will definitely get Mr. Suggs the information, what they decide to do on Friday. But I wanted to check with you and see if y'all had any input you wanted me to send forward to them for consideration of canceling or not to cancel.
Commissioners, any input from Ms. Jones?
It's an outdoor event. CDC says, you know, if you plan stuff, plan it outdoors.
Dana, I think that from what I'm hearing from Commissioner Rawls is that if it's an outdoor event and we can still make it happen, I would like to see it happen. I think it's very important for our county to be represented up there, but I understand that if they're being cautious, but let's see if we can't make that happen, in my opinion.
I'm happy to convey that to them, and it's my understanding, the last time I checked in, that they had moved everything outdoor on the Capitol courtyard. So I will convey that to them before they take that vote. I think we collectively have what's called a county vote, so I will be happy to pass that along. Also, just as a
Ms. Jones, hang on just a minute.
event,
Ms. Jones, Mr. Turner, Mr.
I'm
Turner?
good, I'm good.
Okay. Mr.
I
Adams?
just concur agreement with what you
Okay,
and Mr.
go
Ross
ahead.
said.
Go ahead, Ms. Jones. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to tell y'all that we have been actually requesting people interested in events to submit to us a safety plan. So it's kind of on them. I heard y'all talking about it with Parks and Recs. With the car show, you can actually go to them and say, you must present us a safety plan for your consideration. It's just an idea I wanted to float. Well, I had 3 minutes of your time, that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. And I agree with you.
You're very welcome.
We did that with the town of Interlaken on the Christmas celebration. Is there anybody else who wants to speak at public comment? Do we have anybody else? All right, seeing that we have nobody else, we will end this meeting. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.